really with and King, I mean King. There's Grubb. What's happening, bro?
What's happening? I'm looking like Black Jim Harbaugh today.
What's up, Jimmy?
Yeah. Not a Big Ten coming back. So we get to lose to Ohio State again, yay!
Your boy gonna make me drive over there and pimp slap it, for real.
We're gonna lose to Ohio State, that's all I know.
I call them Gordyisms now. So Gordy said that the Big Ten was praying for positive tests in the SEC, the ACC, and the Big 12 so that they wouldn't look stupid.
My bad. You bad don't work in my world.
They don't look stupid in regards to saying, okay, if the information at Chess is now that we have daily testing, then they have provided you with a rationale as to why they made their decision. To say that they look stupid because they erred on the side of caution, even though I still don't agree that they should be playing, is something that stupid people say.
All right, y'all, we're back here on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. I'm AJ Jones. I'm cutting up already. I'm just going to tell you now, put your kids up, put your sensitive ear people up. If you saved, sanctified, and filled with the Holy Ghost, this might not be the show for you today. It's the lunch break, Winning Wednesday, and I'm thrown all the way off. So here to help me be thrown off is 1/3 of Three the Hard Way is none other than David Grubb, host of Hard in the Paint, writer for CrescentCitySports.com. What's going on, Shed? What's happening, bro?
I literally just finished recording today's pod. So yeah, it's, just working. How we do.
Hot off the press, man. What can we expect as soon as you cut it loose?
We did a nice recap of what's going on in the NFL today, this week. Some of the news, we went back and revisited everything that happened over the weekend, both on the field and with the NFL's response to things. Of course, we got into a lot of the Saints and previewing their game against the Raiders this weekend. So it's a really, really good show. Ross Jackson, who is the editor of Canal Street Chronicles, another African-American, is also now the host of Locked On the NFL each weekend too, is my weekly guest. We call it the Dome Patrol, he and I, because we both bald black men. And
I love it. I love it.
We have a lot of fun with it.
Hold on, David. Here comes the queen. Here comes the queen.
I love it.
Here
the
comes
queen.
the queen.
Junior Flex.
Junior Flex.
Hello, brothers.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is our who gets it done like nobody else's business. It is none other than the host of Listen In With KNN, is Kelsey Nicole Nelson. What's up, KNN?
Hey, I'm good. How are you guys? What a night of sports last night.
Man. Listen, before we get to that, David was just giving us the wrap up on the Dome Patrol. And David, tell me that guy's name again, because I need to start connecting with him.
Ross Jackson. He's one of the best. I mean, he's just one of the best. I'll send you his contact info, but Ross, he knows his stuff. Just does a fantastic job of breaking down film, does a great on news. And just I just got him to join NABJ this year, and I was so happy about that because I was like, dude, because he's growing and exploding really fast this year. And he's one of those voices that folks need to pay attention to and keep an eye out for.
Absolutely, man. I love the name too, Dome Patrol. I love it. I can fit in on that any given whatever day you do it on. So.
That's right. That was the whole deal. You see our tagline: 2 men, no hair, all saints. That's what we do.
I love it. The creativity is dope, bro. And the lady that does it hotter than fish grease is none other than Kelsey Nicole Nelson. Kelsey, give us a rundown on what's been happening on Listen In With KNN.
Yeah, well, first I have to shout out Ross too. I don't know him personally, but I know him from social media, and I'm sure I'll meet him when I can travel, since David does. My family's from New Orleans, so I cannot wait to meet him. I'm a big fan of his work. But let's see, Listen In With KNN. I just wrapped up an interview with Maureen McCormick, who, if you watched the Brady Bunch, she played Marsha. So super excited to release that one. She's amazing. I have Simone Lawrence, who's a Canadian Football League player, also coming on the podcast version. Then tomorrow at noon, Jason the Jet Terry is joining me from Listen In With KNN. Everyone needs to tune into that. We're going to talk basketball because a lot's been happening. And then on Saturday, 2020 NBA draft prospect RJ Hampton is joining me. So much going on. This is why I was late to the show, because I was wrapping up loose ends. But there's a lot happening, so everyone should tune in. And actually next week too, LeVon Kirkland, former Steelers great, is joining us.
The big man.
I know.
Football, basketball, lots happening. Brady Bunch, we're doing it all.
Look, I love the diversity. And, Jason Terry was here for a brief moment in Houston. In fact, he helped get the Rockets deep in the playoff when they suffered a whole bunch of injuries at guard. I was like, man, we going in with 206 years old, Jason, the Jet.
206.
But he almost got us there. So glad to have y'all.
Ask Marie McCormick why there weren't no black people in the Brady Bunch neighborhood. They hang out with no black people. It was in Los Angeles.
David, stop it. We're not doing that. Wait, we're not doing that today.
You know there was a brother that Marsha had an eye on the football team. You know it.
At least Jan, somebody.
You know, look, Jan by the time she got about 17 was, Jan was she was better than looking than Marsha. Jan was.
See, I gotta calm y'all down.
This is what happens when you're not here. For those tuning in, we are Three the Hard Way. Kelsey Nicole Nelson, David Grubb, myself on the lunch break. Winning Wednesday. Got a lot to talk about as we came on the air. Big Ten made it official. They're coming back in October. Yeah. I'm not liking some of the commentary that I'm hearing. Again, I mentioned to David, there's a local guy who had the audacity to say that Mr. Warren and the Big Ten were praying for positive tests in the other conferences so that they would not look stupid. And for me, it shows the idiocracy and just stupidity of some broadcasters, journalists, people who have nothing that even looks like any kind of medical background, any kind of research background, just saying dumb stuff because they got a microphone and or a camera. And I already know we try to be better than that. But let me let you speak on it, David, and then Kelsey, you go ahead and get some on it too. The Big Ten made a decision for the kids. Why is that so hard to understand?
Yeah, this is something that I've been following a lot with us. Dan Lust, the sports legal analysis analyst who comes on my show regularly. And, the Big Ten, before they even made this decision, they released to Nebraska all the documents concerning their original 11-3 vote. So those were real. We found out that those were legitimate. There was an 11-3 vote, right. And it was based on the science at the time. Now, we can still disagree. I am not a proponent of them coming back. I think they made the right decision initially. But if the science tells them that they're more comfortable because of rapid testing now, which was not available when they made their initial decision, then I'm fine with you saying new data has come into the picture and now we're going to do this, as long as you are prepared for it. If you are prepared for all the ramifications of restarting the season and you're willing to go ahead with it and you have new information, that's life. We get new information and we make different decisions. Right. So I don't think it's something that I would overtly criticize the Big Ten for in changing direction if they have, again, a legitimate reason to do so. If they caved because of public pressure, if they caved because they were worried about the lawsuits, then that to me would be a far worse issue, because that's administrators buckling to something, again, people who are not experts. Right. But if you have people on your side who are qualified to give you that advice and they say, I think we can manage this, at the very least now we have people to hold accountable rather than just simply saying we changed our minds.
Yep. Kelsey, I'm listening.
Oh, man. All right. So you guys know I graduated from a Big Ten school in the University of Maryland. So I will put my fan part first. Of course, seeing Maryland football back, it's exciting. We want to win. I am a big supporter of Mike Locksley and the work that he's doing. I'm like, we don't win a couple of games, AJ.
I am too. Go ahead.
But I mean, I'm rooting for Mike Locksley. I think he can turn the program around. I love what he did with the minority coaching coalition that he started. So again, big proponent of them. But let's be honest. The pressure was on Kevin Warren. We knew when we started seeing college football. When you started seeing those games, you knew a power conference was not just going to sit on the sidelines and sit out the big game. Come on, because they see it happening. They see it so far. We haven't seen anything crazy. Even though the LSU story that came out with many players testing positive was just absurd and mind-blowing.
Right.
But we knew it was coming, right? The Big Ten, they're too big to sit out while everybody else is playing. They want to be a part of the championship conversation. We saw President Trump even tweet out that he helped with the conversation. The pressure was on from the top level down. So we knew it was going to happen, and we saw the ramifications of it. I am okay with this decision if we can keep the players safe. I know they're saying the players want to play. I've talked to some players. They do want to play. But let's be honest. If you're a young guy in college, you're trying to get to the NFL, of course you're going to want to play, right? You see how many people are watching sports after they were taken from us, right? We're all watching sports nonstop now. We can't get enough of it. So they'll be in that situation. But at the same time, I don't like the bullying aspect that seemed like came into this decision. I agree, like David, if the science says it's safe to play, who am I to stop you? I don't have a medical degree, and I don't try to act like I do. But at the same time, again, I think sometimes we cannot rush so quickly to make decisions for what we say is for the kids. We're doing it for the babies when it's actually for the money and for the profit that we're doing it for. Just be honest and just be real. Yeah, kids want to play, but you're in a leadership position for a reason. Not everyone gets to be a Big Ten commissioner. Not everyone can be in leadership positions. When you're placed there, you do have to make difficult decisions and realize not everyone's going to want to or going to have to agree with you. So I think it's interesting. I'm optimistic about football starting, but I think we do have to still realize, people, we are still living in a pandemic. There's a reason why there's still social distancing guidelines. There's a reason why airplanes right now are still not packed. Why I was on an Amtrak train, it was not packed, right? Because we're still in a pandemic. There's a reason why you're hopefully wearing your mask. So I do think we have to continue to see that. We've seen games with lots of fans there. We see COVID is still there. It's still growing. And if we ever want to get back to normalcy, I think we just all have to just be reminded of that.
Yeah. I'm going to ruin the show. I'm going to ruin the mood of the show after the break. I got to take a break. We're going to do 2 quick commercials, and then we come back. Just remember, I reminded you, I'm getting ready to just ruin the mood of the whole show. I'm that dude today. I'm him. I'll be right back right after this on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK. It's Winning Wednesday. Hey, we're going to announce the winner of the lunch break, Keeping Up with the Joneses Pick'em Challenge. I tried to find the longest name I could find just to be irritable, and somebody's going to win $50 today. 50. We'll be right back right after this on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK.
You need $50 to make you holler.
Why? My budget.
I'm an attorney spokesperson representing a team of lawyers who
That tone low right there. You need $50 to make me holler. I get paid to do the
Who are you, man?
What? I'm a product of the 80s and 90s.
You not know Richie.
You ever do a lot of Richie?
Kelsey don't know nothing about that.
Look, I heard that,
You know, just to be close to you, don't you, the Commodores?
Hell no.
I forgot where I'm
I was a lonely man. All the things that I thought had so much value, and it had a value that I thought they did.
Oh my gosh.
That's when the whole rest of the Commodores looked at Lionel and they were like, we ain't never playing a funk record again. That's what they knew. They knew it was like the funk is over. Lionel is getting ready to leave. He's writing these ballads all the time. These country western sounding songs. They knew.
Step by.
Right here on the legendary KYOK Radio.
Wow.
Stop it.
At KYOK Radio.
Just to be close.
You are listening to the lunch break.
Oh my gosh, I can't breathe, and I'm not. Somebody's kneeling on my neck. It is the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM.
He did not.
AJ Jones and David Grubb is just killing us. Kelsey. So Lionel Richie was part of the Commodores. Born. But you gotta YouTube just to be close to you because
I hate the song. Look, AJ, look, you forgot where my family's from. New Orleans. I grew up with music. Come on.
Stop pretending, girl. Stop pretending. We know that you ain't know nothing about them Commodores when Lionel Richie had a shag.
Like, I love them soul. I am an old soul. So look, I know a little bit more than y'all give me credit for. Girl knows her stuff, AJ.
And I'm messing with you on purpose. But David, when I tell you, you got Lionel down to a. I'm just like, Lionel needs to ask you before he can do him ever again.
Yes,
I have to hold my nose a little bit more though to get that a little bit nasally in there when you do it.
Oh my gosh, bro. Stop it. So listen, I said before the break that I was going to ruin the mood. I was going to be that guy where everybody's laughing and having a good time, and then I come in and ruin the mood. So let me go on and do it. How come the commissioner of the Pac-12 is not getting all the flack that the black man is getting in the Big Ten? How come Washington State and Oregon State, I'm trying to find the liliest, I won't say the next word, of the Pac-12 schools, how come they don't have players suing him? Why is it in the heartland of Lincoln, Nebraska, do you have, and I'm talking about the kids now, I'm not talking about the parents, because all we're hearing about are the athletes that are suing.
But they didn't start that lawsuit.
I get it, but you put your little bad lily white kids out there, so I'm gonna take what you put out there. Why is it that they're suing the black man and demanding information from him that he has already provided, number one, number two, that has been straight by the book for the benefit of the student athletes? Why is there such a big push against him and we don't see the same thing in the Pac-12?
I think part of the Pac-12 is that California has so much power.
Look at Kelsey's face.
Part of it is California has so much power, and that if there's nothing going on in the state on the high school level, the college level, California runs the Pac-12. If California gets down, but I would say with Kevin Warren, you can see that this is people attacking the wrong person, because Kevin Warren is like the commissioner in any other thing where you are beholden to the university presidents. They hired him, they cast the votes, they cancel the season. That's on them. His job is to communicate it, to enforce their decisions, and to legislate and be the arbiter. He didn't make these decisions. He didn't call for the vote. He does not get a vote. So for Kevin Warren, a guy who's been on the job for a year, this does feel like they're throwing him under the bus to some extent. If he loses his job over this, then I think he has a real lawsuit on his hands, because all he did was follow the directives that the presidents of the universities gave him. If anybody needs to be taking heat, it's the presidents of universities for not communicating to their students, to their athletic directors, and to their coaches why they were making the vote that they did and what the ramifications of that were. Now, Nebraska is not a surprise to me, because Nebraska don't belong in the Big Ten anyway. And those people, they've clearly stated what their priority is. When your coach, who again has no decision-making power, comes out and says, well, we're going to play whether it's the Big Ten or not, knowing full well that the Big Ten is going to say, you're going to pay us our payout if you try to play somebody else, if you want to go do that. That Nebraska is not known for being particularly diverse. So I think that they do take some umbrage to a big black man telling them you ain't going to play no football this fall.
Kelsey, I hate to have you come in on today. I really wanted to talk Ravens and Texans, but
we still are.
but doesn't it look suspect? And I see Todd is saying Larry Scott is getting some smoke out there. He ain't getting what Warren is getting. Yeah. And I mean, they're calling this man by name, which is where I have a problem with. When you start respect the office, you don't have to like the man. I mean, but you ought to respect the office. And from Scott Frost all the way across the board, they're disrespecting this man for doing what David just said. The presidents of the university voted for him to do.
Yeah, I think David hit the nail on the head, right? He is the communicator, right? He's that person that's liaisoning to the rest of the general public. Like you said, he does not have all the power. I don't know if the general public understands how that system works, but I think Maryland, when the Big Ten wanted Maryland to join, yes, Maryland obviously was a school that wanted to get more known for football, but also let's look at the strategic placement of the University of Maryland. It's close to our nation's capital, DC,
Right.
makers, things like that. So that was also a big reason, and the Big Ten wanted greater emphasis on the East Coast. I think we have to look at Kevin Warren. He is the spokesperson, and I think when I say this, it's no different than the criticism and flack that a former President Obama got. Anytime you are an African American in a leadership position with people who don't look like you, you are going to unfortunately be questioned for the decisions that you make. It's society. It's been proven time and time again. I think you have a point, AJ. I think Kevin is unfairly getting criticized, probably the most that I've seen. Like, I've seen some just blasphemous stuff on social media for this man who's done, if you look at his track record, a phenomenal job. And he was placed there because he's done a phenomenal job. I mean, you're not going to become the commissioner of one of the largest conferences out there because you haven't had a track record, right? They're not going to allow that. They want you to succeed. But I think it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, but I think Kevin is prepared for what he's facing. I think, again, we see this time and time again with numerous Black men or Black women in positions. They're always questioned for the decisions that they make when the general public sees it as unfortunately wrong, right? I think, again, there's many examples I could go into. So, AJ, you have a point, but I do think this decision was going to be made regardless, because, again, I think I said it earlier, it came from the top down. We had our president tweeting that these kids needed to play football, that the Big Ten needed to play football. We know we live in a time now where it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure where people are trying to be, quote unquote, politically right. And again, sports are one of those things that they drive culture, they drive society. So listen, if college sports come back, right, we see professional sports back, that tells me that society as a whole is saying, all right, we want to get back to some normalcy. We see some states, obviously, some people acting like COVID-19 is not still happening, unfortunately, but I think that's where we're moving. But Kevin Warren, if you're listening to this, you are doing a phenomenal job. Forget the naysayers and keep on doing the job that you're doing. You were placed there for a purpose and for a reason. But again, I do think, AJ, you have a point. Let's be honest, AJ. We know that's always going to happen. Fortunately for him, as long as he's there, he's always going to get second guessed on any decision that comes from him.
Yeah, and again, you bring up a good point. This is our norm. This is our stat. This is where Mama said, baby, you're going to have to be twice as good as anybody else just to receive the same kind of treatment. And Kevin Warren is a real life example. The other point I want to get to before my next brief break, I don't want to hear any more keep politics out of sports. I mean, I'm going to start headbutting people when they say, you need to keep politics out of sports. The doggone president of the entire United States of America was on the phone with the president of the Big Ten trying to talk about getting football. How much more can you put politics in sports than the whole doggone president of the United States of America talking to not all of college football, not the NCAA, but the president of one of the major conferences that chose not to play?
Why do you think so, though? Because these are swing states. Got to have Ohio. Got to have Michigan. Got to have Indiana. Got to have Iowa. Those are all huge states. Got to have Nebraska. Got to have, you know what I'm saying? So you sit there, and if that's what this whole thing is a bit about. That's why the president, you've heard the president talk more about the return of college and pro sports than you talk about funding education or making school that school districts are prepared to have their students in class. They talked about removing funding for not opening schools, but didn't talk about how to help them open the schools. But they are dead set. Since the day sports got paused, they have been pushing, get it back, get it back, get it back. That is not by accident either, because they want us to move on from the discussion. When you see, and I think these things are parallels. When you see the president on TV last night say, I don't think we have a race problem in America. I'm surprised if there's one in America. You are saying that because you want to mute the conversation. And that's what he wants sports to do, is mute the conversation. That if people's attention gets divided into the things that make them distracted, then he can coast on through and say, look, I gave you your life back. You didn't have it. I gave it back to you. I was on the phone with these people telling them they needed to play. And that's what you're really concerned about. Don't worry about this COVID.
Yeah.
Don't worry about these fires. Don't worry about your kids. Don't worry about the economy. But you got games on every day.
Yeah. Look at the end of the tweet. He said, he made sure to say that he helped in that decision, right? It's kind of like that person, you're doing good for the community. Do you always need to say it? If you always say, oh, well, I did this or I did that. He made sure that he hit the nail on the head and said, I helped. Because
they need O'Brien some turkeys.
Exactly. When people get sports back, they're going to feel excited, because it is for most of us, sports help us get back to normalcy in life, right? When you have the return of sports, when you can root for your favorite college team, when you can go to those tailgates, when you can be around your friends and family, and then think about it, you're gonna think about who helped make this possible. Who helped bring the smile back to my face? David's right. Come on, November's right around the corner. November's coming. It's all strategic. Everything is strategic. There is a purpose and a reason. Everything in sports is very, very strategic. And as you said, it's very political. Sports is political. I also hate when people say that, AJ, because everything in sports, you can find a parallel in politics.
Everything. All right, when we come back, I'll read a comment from Willie Gibson. He's a broadcast journalist up in Columbus, covers the Ohio State University, the Big Ten, as well as the Cleveland Browns. So we'll hit his comments next right here on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. It's Winning Wednesday.
Now is a great time to replace your worn-out windows during the renewal.
We had dinner for my dad in New Orleans on Saturday for his 70th birthday. It's today, but we had the dinner on Saturday. So me and my brother and my sister were all able to be there. My brother lives in LA. My sister lives in Florida. And, so we were all able to be there. That was like the first time we had all been in the same room, probably about 3 years. And but I'm going through downtown New Orleans. I'm walking through the quarter to the restaurant. We were at Arno's. You know Arno's, right? So we were going to Arno's. 70% of the people on the street, no mask. No mask. And I'm there and I'm freaking out because just by, I just got my flu shot yesterday, but I have a lower than normal white blood cell count. I have asthma. I have these kind of things. So I can't be around these people. I walked in the restaurant and my hands, the anxiety had gotten to me where my hands were shaking. And when I saw the table, all the seats at the dinner table were like, normal spaced. So I was so nervous that I had to ask them for a little separate table so I could be adjacent to everybody else while they were eating. That's how much the anxiety got me.
Crowded pharmacy.
Hey, that's real though, bro. That's real. Y'all stay there. I got 30 seconds.
U.S. Med deliver them to you with free shipping. And now if you test your blood sugar 4 more times a day and inject insulin 3 or more times a day, you may qualify to get a new
One thing a black woman can't hide is her facial.
at little or no cost.
Well, I must be a black woman too because I have no poker face.
And helps
You
you
do not
make
play cards for
smarter
money because
diet
neither one of y'all are going to keep your
Plus,
I
chance.
have no poker face.
Your insurance company.
If you on my nerves, if I like you, you gonna know. I am not good at faking the funk.
417.
This is what
I'm not to be good.
I can smile. I can smile.
But even my smiles, you can tell that it's gritted teeth. I like you. Yes, I'm so happy to be here.
All right, y'all. We're back on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. Kelsey's the angel, David is the Pope, and I am, I'm something else. I'm something else today. Because I don't like none of it. That whole nonsense of keeps politics out of sports. I'm telling you now, I'm going to have to start. I need somebody cash out money to get me out of jail because I'm just going to start headbutting people. It's going to be a holy headbutt. We were like minds were coming together.
You got to get your Benny Hinn on, so you ain't got to headbutt people. You got to get that Benny Hinn throw in, so you can get from a distance and knock people back. Get that.
I wish Benny Hinn would go through some of these areas that got high COVID to wave his coat, so we can get over this thing. Real quick, y'all. Willie Gibson said both Kelsey and David are correct. Now, wait, Willie. David and Kelsey are correct. You ain't say nothing about me, bro. You ain't saying. Okay, I'm gonna read your little. I'm gonna read your little post. Kevin Warren is the Big Ten president, as Roger Goodell is the NFL owner. Is to the NFL owners. He carries their agenda. As to why no smoke for Larry Scott, they are ranked 5th of the Power 5 conferences. Candidly, in my Deion Sanders voice, ain't nobody care about the Pac-12. All right, well, I'm gonna give you a little like. Everything's gonna be little where you're concerned now because I got my Donald J. Trump on today. I need some attention. I need some love. So I guess y'all were right. That's what it is. Nobody care about the Pac-12.
That's one for me.
Can we see a picture of Larry Scott right next to Mr. Warren? And I call him Mr. Warren for a reason. Why do I call him Mr. Warren? To get that man some respect. Because when in my house, teenagers and kids, they couldn't get in grown folks' conversation. And a child had to stay in a child's place. And some of these kids run around in Nebraska thinking like they really got some clout. And I got news for you. You ain't going to be able in Nebraska forever. You ain't gonna be in Nebraska forever. So folks gonna let you know that everything your parents told you wasn't right, and you ain't always.
You know that lawsuit was is financed by anybody but there's boosters and all these things involved in that who made sure that those kids had access, and they also knew that the laws in Nebraska and the judges in Nebraska would be far more favorable to them. They didn't go to where the Big Ten headquarters was. They filed a lawsuit in Nebraska where they knew they could win.
Right. I mean, I get it, but I'm just mad about it. I want to believe that the Big Ten came back because they got new information and that they wanted to, now they feel like their young people are going to be safe. Like Kelsey said, great things happening over at Maryland. Obviously, Ohio State was going to be one of the powerhouses. I want to see, Harbaugh get his behind kicked against some Mo. I want to see Scott Frost go, 3 and whatever. And I want to see him do the perp walk, getting fired from Nebraska and have to be up there crying, saying, I really thought I could have got it done, but the school deserves better. Yeah, I'm going off today. I'm sorry. You bring the smoke. I got a fan to blow the smoke. So let's go.
Ooh. I love it, AJ. I think you hit the nail on the head. Let's be honest. They weren't going to keep Ohio State out of playing football. Come on. Like Ohio State, all that they produced, all of the greats that they produced, they were going to get those guys on the field some way, somehow. And obviously, and again, I think we knew this time was coming. I don't think we knew what would happen now. But again, when college sports started, and all of us that are watching college sports and see the great football happening, a Power 5 conference was not just going to sit on the sidelines. And think about it. We're playing chess, not checkers. You're going to start with the king. Big Ten is king sitting on the sidelines. I think that's what Willie Gibson was saying. And that's exactly what happened. And of course, I think now is, who's next? It's like the hip hop Harry thing, right? Like, go.
And I think part of it too is as the Big Ten presidents got deeper into thinking about playing in the spring or in January, and you start thinking about what it's like in Michigan, in Columbus, in Minnesota, all outdoor stadiums. There's not a dome in the Big Ten. You start talking about January, and when those blizzards hit, and they will come across that Midwest. Yeah, you can't play football in that, and you'll also be subjecting your players to dangerous conditions because the ground is harder. You also put them in dangerous conditions because you're in the midst of flu season, along with COVID. Yeah. So it would have been even as dangerous as it is now. You exacerbate that, and I think that hurt them too. Isn't thinking if we could save the spring, it's the logistics of trying to do a spring, whether it would have been just them internally or them in the Pac-12 trying to recreate a Rose Bowl in March or something like that. It wasn't going to work. So there are really only two options: either say you're out and you're out for the whole year.
Right, for the whole year.
Or you're in and you're in and you take the risk that everybody else is taking so that you can at least say, well, we took the same risk and you got to mitigate yourself that way. I'm not saying morally that's the smartest thing to do, the best thing to do, but at least I would understand then that I'm part of this group and we're going to assume the risk as a group.
Yeah, I think that those are all valid points. I guess we'll see. I'm not, contrary to what Chris Gordy thinks, no one is rooting for major outbreaks. No one is rooting for kids.
What kind of sadistic person would that be?
Sick, so that they can look like they're right. Like there are some people that care. I believe Mr. Warren is one of them. That being said, let's switch gears now. Let's move on. Bruh, Kelsey, did you see those basketball games last night?
Who did it?
Is Bam that for real? Like, where have I been on Bam? Bam said, no.
Black heart around the world.
And it wasn't like Tatum was bringing it down real soft. He wasn't bringing it down like playing. He was all the way into that thing. And Bam's like, hold that up real quick. NBA, for whatever college football is not doing, for whatever we don't know yet about the NFL, baseball, still joking with me. The NBA has won this sports cycle.
Yes.
They have won the sports cycle, and they are not disappointing. Kelsey, tell me your thoughts about the early game last night.
Oh, my gosh. It was all we could ask for, right? When we wanted this Eastern Conference Finals, We see the Celtics and the Heat. I mean, the Heat, what have they not brought to basketball? They've been the most exciting team to me to watch in the bubble. Jimmy Butler, not only is he a talker, but he's proving it on the basketball court. And just seeing the growth of Bam Adebayo, how do you not support him? I'm here for everything he's doing. I'm here for his name becoming a household name, which I hope it has. But as you said, AJ, these games have delivered. I mean, bubble basketball is honestly it. Like, I'm already counting down to December. I can't wait for basketball to be back. With the early game, I think it was everything we want and more. Please give us 7 games this series. Please.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
It's big with basketball. Like, I mean, what can you take away? Marcus Smart. I mean, everything that you wanted in that game and more. I mean, I had a whole meal. I had a steak dinner and a salad. I did not touch that. A baked potato. I did not touch that till after the game because I was too excited. It was so many things going on. And mind you, a girl didn't touch it until the game was over. But it was fantastic. So I think I'm excited for this. I think whoever comes out of the series will be a true threat to whoever, of course, comes out of the West. But I'm excited for it. And I think this might be one of the most exciting championships that I have seen in a while. So thank you for this game. And I can't wait till we talk about that second game.
Yeah, in a while, without a guy named LeBron James, I don't hung up with somebody. Valencia just typed something. She says, let me make sure I got it. There's convo on if Bam was technically goaltending because of his hand being within the rim cylinder. Thoughts? David, I'll let you answer that and give us your thoughts on that early game last night.
Sometimes we let plays go that are real awesome. I mean, that's just a fact. There are certain plays that we've seen in the course of the NBA's history that were clear violations of the rules in some way or another.
The Michael Jordan push off against Utah. I'm sorry.
That ain't even the most egregious one. The Jordan baseline went on the Knicks. He traveled. He changed his pivot foot 3 times, but it's one of the most iconic dunks in NBA history. And it's just one of those things. Sometimes a play is too awesome to call it back. You don't want to. I've been a ref, and sometimes you just say that one's gonna have to go. It's just got to let it go.
God.
And at that moment, you don't want to be the ref to just decide the game that way. And the NBA had a couple of games that did go that way, and I think refs thought about that. And you never want the attention to be on the call. So I think you let it play. It played the way it did. Again, for any coach, whether it's Brad Stevens or Eric Spoelstra, what they would tell you is you don't want to put yourself in that position where it comes down to a play like that, where you are dependent on the ref to make that call. So I mean, that's why you got 7 games, and this is I'm sure Boston will bounce back and be prepared for game 2. I don't think that they get blown out. They've shown their mental capacity here, and Brad Stevens is a really good coach. So, I mean, I just don't see that this being a huge fall off for them in game 2.
Can we hold off on Brad Stevens being a really, really good coach yet? I mean, I know
I didn't say great, but I mean, I would say this.
AJ wants to say,
I'll say this. If you ask me today who I'd rather have, Brad Stevens or Doc Rivers, give me Brad Stevens.
Well, now, see, Doc is sitting over somewhere really needing a hug right now. So let's not compare.
Need a lot of hugs.
Let's not compare Brad to Doc. Let's just go right across the way. Let's compare Brad to Spoelstra. I now give a lot more credit to coaches who have to coach multiple major players. Not everybody can coach Jordan, Pippen, Rodman, and those guys. Not everybody can coach Magic, Worthy, and those guys. Not everybody can coach LeBron and Chris and Dwayne. And let me tell you something. Brad Stevens had on paper the best roster in the NBA a couple of seasons ago. He couldn't make it work. So,
what year was that? They had the best roster in the league. What year?
AJ's
What year is that?
Hold on. When they had Kyrie, when they had Tatum.
When you say Kyrie, you already lost me. You already lost me because I told everybody. Everybody knew that the moment Kyrie got the Boston, he was going to sabotage Boston. That they were going to. Everybody in the dang NBA knew that the Celtics were not going to be as good with Kyrie.
I said on paper.
Okay, on paper though, he has a point, David. I agree with you. But
that's what I said. On
you thought they were the best team in the league last year?
They had starting 5. They're excuse me, not even
Durant and Clay don't get hurt. If Durant and Clay don't get hurt, that team, the Golden State Warriors, was still the best team in the league.
At the time, those guys were already. One of them was either injured or hurt or something was already going on. on paper in the East. All right, let's do.
One of them had made an All-Star game except for Kyrie.
In the East, when LeBron left, who had the best roster in the
East? Milwaukee was the best team in the league last 2 years.
Bottom, David, on paper, top to bottom on paper. Brad Stevens had too much itis.
At the bottom, they only have 5 guys. It's a 5-man team. They're only playing 7 in the playoffs.
You can only play 5 at one time, David.
You only talk about all this depth. They only play 7 guys. They only play 7 guys. Only got different from last year is they traded Kyrie for Kemba, and they got better.
Put it this way.
The only difference is they lost one of their better sitters in Aaron Bynes, who goes to Phoenix, and they're better than they were last year. The problem was Kyrie Irving. And I guarantee you that Brad Stevens didn't ask for Kyrie Irving.
David, we're saying the same thing. You've taken it on the court. I'm talking about the paper. I'm talking about when you just read the paper.
They play it on paper.
I understand that. I understand that. But what I'm saying is a head coach that can take it off the paper and translate it on the court, y'all have given Brad Stevens a pass. I'm not ready to do it yet.
But I said Spo is the best coach in the league. I think Spo is the best coach.
And that's my point. Yeah. That's my point. Spoelstra has gotten it done on paper and on the court a couple of times.
Yep.
Looks like he might be doing it again, and the dude don't even have a superstar. He got a bad man. He's got a dude from Croatia who is just lights out, and he's doing it with a whole bunch of other players that most folks gave up on or didn't do anything with.
Yeah, I think I agree. I mean, Spoelstra, I think, again, it's crazy to me that he doesn't get the credit that he deserves, because what this team did, I don't care anybody out there, but who even thought that the Heat would be playing in the championships this season?
They were underdogs in every one of these series. Exactly. They were borderline, not even in the playoffs.
Exactly. They just got there. Exactly. So for them to do what they've done and the way that they've done it, again, why they are one of the most exciting teams to watch. And that's why they are a team that you cannot sleep on. We saw that in last night's game. That team continues to deliver. Now, should they stay healthy, I think, again, they actually have a chance to do something many of us thought they couldn't do.
To me, the Heat are more dangerous.
David, stay right there. I'm about to get fired because I haven't done my commercial. Let me do my commercial real quick.
When have you been fired at, Jay?
Well, I'm just saying, if I don't pay these bills, I'm going to be in trouble. But let me do this. That's there. And let me get this over. Y'all stay right there. We're coming back to this. We're coming back to this because Todd needs to get it because he loves Brad Stevens. He loves him some Brad Stevens. If Brad Stevens does not win it all in the East, my question when we come back, what should happen to him?
He's only in year 5.
Hold on. David, we'll be right back. We'll be right back. Right on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK.
Spo's in like year 12. That's not fair to Brad Stevens. Hey, you're being mean to Brad. What you got against Brad Stevens? What'd you do to you? Did he take something from you?
It ain't business, it's personal.
Do you know him or something? Did he take something from you?
By $6 a day, you can have guaranteed health insurance and dental vision coverage too. You owe it to yourself and your family to make this free call right now and learn more. There are no deductibles, no waiting period, no contracts, and coverage is guaranteed. Call National Health right now for your risk-free, guaranteed health insurance. Starting at just $6 a day.
That's making you mad?
Next time, I would have gave him my Maryland gear, David.
I shaved my head this morning, so I'm looking a little stubbly, and I couldn't be letting out looking for my George Jefferson filling in up at the top. I can't have that.
You got rollers underneath there. Look that bottom.
There ain't no rollers. I can't roll nothing. It's just it looks like
diabetic. Need supplies.
It looks like the lawn hasn't been cut properly and that somebody spilled some gasoline in one spot, so there's a hole.
These ladies don't understand what we got to do to pull it all together, man. They don't understand.
Pick up the phone.
Look, I don't want to have to do what Kelsey does every day. Shoot, all I got to do is put a razor up there. She takes a lot of work. Now, I'm not saying that. But it's still more work than I got to do.
David, you got me under the bus like 5 times in the show already in the last segment, bro.
Which may eliminate and helps you make.
Don't roll with me. I'm all by myself today, Doc.
Plus, we'll send you a
this bad reputation.
Get some peace of mind. You just met today. 800.
Hold on, man. We got a caller too. Stand by.
I'm feeling attacked.
0851. That's 800-417-0851.
Major gonna mail us out. Do it, Major.
Beautiful people, this is Major. This is why I love you on the lunch break.
All right, I just needed a little Major. I've mellowed it out now. This is why I love you. So, Brad Stevens, it ain't personal. No, it ain't business, Brad. It's just personal. It's just personal. All right, let me get somebody on the phone real quick. Hello, you're live on the lunch break. Who's this? Oh, they hung up. All right, listen, call back. I'm gonna be nice. I promise. All right, so if Brad Stevens don't win it all with Boston, they're the favorite in this series. David, what should happen to your favorite coach?
You're not my favorite. It'll see you putting words in people's mouths.
Your homeboy.
I'm just saying. Why would he be in inner jeopardy? Why would he be in any jeopardy? In the last 6 years, the man ain't finished below second in his division. He has a winning record in the playoffs.
Yeah.
You've been waiting for these young guys to turn into that superstar level. Remember, Jason Tatum had made an all-star team. Jaylen Brown had made an all-star team.
Right.
Kemba Walker's made one in his career. They have a journeyman at Daniel Tice. They are playing a small lineup. They are not, and I said they are of the teams that made it to the East this far. You would easily argue that the Celtics have the least depth. Toronto is deeper than the Celtics. Miami is clearly deeper than any other team in the West. You would even say Milwaukee went 9 deep on their roster. The Celtics are playing small ball with a small group. If they don't win the title this year, it's still not the end of the road for them. I think it's the same with what you do with an Eric Spoelstra, because after LeBron and that stuff went down, here we are. We're talking 6 years later for Spo. And what did he do? He maintained that culture. He committed to winning, and now they're seeing the results of that. So I think with Brad Stevens, when you had a whole bunch of guys who were 20, 19 when they joined that team, and you're waiting for them to grow up, and they finally have, if it's not next year or the year after, then we start talking. But now you're finally to see those guys getting into their primes of 23, 24, 25. Now let's really see where Jason Tatum goes, who is becoming, before our eyes, a top 15 NBA player.
I agree. But you gave me what I was looking for, an expiration date. I just wanted to know.
Everybody's got an expiration date. Oh, yeah.
For a while, it was looking like Brad Stevens wasn't going to get done. Looking like he wasn't going to get done. Kelsey, hold your thought. We got a caller. Hello, you're live on the lunch break. Who's this?
Hey, Jay, it's Todd.
Man, what you want?
Man, you need to leave Brad alone.
I know that's your cousin. I know y'all be at family reunions together, but your dude don't get it done, man. Go ahead.
And leave Uncle Brad alone. So,
See?
David is 100% right. You got to let those young guys grow into that role. Now, if we're looking at Jaylen Brown and Tatum at, 25, 26, 27 years old, when they're kind of hitting that veteran stage, 6th, 7th year in the league, then I got an issue with it. When Kyrie was there, I see it a little bit differently, not 100% different than you and AJ. If you're a great coach, you gotta be able to reel in that superstar as well. But I think Kyrie he didn't want to be there, and I don't think if anybody could have reeled that in. I think Kyrie you seen the Celtics so much happier with him gone. So that's that. But I want y'all's opinion on Doc Rivers. Because I'm kind of torn a little bit on it. Lou Williams played horrible that series, 4 for 27 from 3. Kawhi, Paul George played terrible. But how much of, and I'm going to hang up and listen, how much of the blame is at Doc Rivers' feet for blowing a 3-1 lead?
All right, appreciate that. Todd, the question is, how much does Doc Rivers get the blame for blowing a 3-1 lead?
We can dive into it. All right. Let's be honest. All right, I've been trying to be nice to Doc today because I hope he doesn't check his social media mentions.
Wait, but hold on, Kelsey. Treat him like Brad Stevens. Give Doc Brad Stevens treatment. Can we do that?
I feel for for Doc because we all knew going into the game that the Clippers had to win it, right? I mean, it was nothing else. It's not chemistry. It's not math. They just had to win the game. Up 3-1. I mean, all line says that you guys will win it. And let's be honest, everyone's talking about the Clippers. I mean, could they be the true kings in the West? People were having that debate with me, right? I put the Lakers picture up. No, Kelsey, the Clippers. All we kept hearing about is how great of a player. And Kawhi is still a great player. Not taking anything from him, though he obviously struggled last night. Paul George, he's a good player, even though he struggled last night. But saying all this to say, as a coach, Doc knew the game plan. We did not see adjustments made. I mean, Denver was over them. I mean, especially that fourth quarter. Denver, it was just a Denver ball game. It literally looked like, it reminded me of Space Jam, when the big monsters played them when they had taken all their powers away. I mean, it just wasn't fair. It just wasn't fair. And I think when we look at Doc Rivers, and we know what the NBA is about winning, and the Clippers had a chance to do that. They really should have closed this out earlier. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. And then I think it makes us have to ask so many questions about Doc and can he get the job done, right? Because I think we're saying, oh, well, they can come back next year. Oh, we're going to still be good. We still have this chemistry we're building together. All right, but that chemistry that you guys built this year, what's going to make it any different next season, right? Because as we think about the West is good. The West is good, and you have a Golden State attack that's going to be downright scary. So to me, Doc, we have to look at. I don't know if I'm ready to ask him just yet, but I do think there's going to have to be some big transitions made for us to start to believe in Doc and the Clippers. But I was so disappointed last night because I just thought they had. I'll be honest with you guys. I took a brief nap. I thought I was going to wake up and the Clippers were going to beat up. Lo and behold, I saw the score. Just wow. But again, I'm not. And also, I think we have to applaud it. Again, I think most people are saying this. We have to applaud the job that Denver did. We have to applaud the job that Denver did. Just magnificent. Nobody thought that they could do what they did. And now they're truly a team that you cannot sleep on. I mean, you just cannot sleep on them because they have the momentum going for them. They have the confidence. You know what confidence does for a younger basketball team. So I'm excited for them. But Doc, I feel for you. I truly do feel for you because now many of us have questions.
All right, go ahead, David.
Be nice, David. He's having a rough day.
I'm going
so let's just, Doc been coaching 20 years, right?
Yeah.
20 years now. 7 first-round exits in the playoffs. Okay? 7. With Tracy McGrady for 7 of those years. Never got out the first round. Never. You get you with the Celtics, he was about to get fired, right? This is the truth. He was about to get fired in Boston before they make the deal to bring in KG and Ray Allen. They win a championship the first year. They get to the Eastern Conference. They only get one more finals appearance, and they never get back. Never after that. First round exits. Couple of times in the conference semis, they get exit. With the Clippers, goes to the Clippers. They never even make a Western Conference Finals appearance. Never, not one. With Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan, all in their prime. No conference finals appearances. Lost series leads. 3-2, they had series advantage over San Antonio and got beat. So, we've seen this before. There's tape of Phil Jackson saying, nobody loses more games in the fourth quarter than Doc Rivers. They know how to lose in the fourth quarter with Doc Rivers. Here you are again. Like you said, Kelsey said it right. Lack of adjustments, lack of understanding. Denver runs basically 2 sets. They run the high pick and roll, and they run, or you're going through Jokic at the high post and letting him create for other people off that. And they never adjusted. And Paul George decided that he was going to be a jump shooter for the last 4 games of that series. He didn't take it to the basket. They didn't get free throw opportunities. They didn't do any of the things that they had an advantage. And you heard Mike Malone say this before the series too, to Paul Millsap and to Jokic. In this series, you guys have the advantage because the Clippers are not strong up front. And the Clippers never adjusted. They didn't put Zubac on the floor, I thought, enough, because Zubac did very well in his minutes. He had the highest plus minus of any Clippers player in the series. And you know who had the lowest in the series? Paul George. Paul George was terrible for 7 games. And I don't think that team, you bring it back next year. What are you bringing back again? You're bringing back Paul. You bring back a Pat Beverly who's limited. You still don't have enough size up front. And the things that you need, Lou Williams now is starting to show that he's slowing down. We didn't get Lou Will in the playoffs. Yeah. So there are some issues with the Clippers and that they need to figure out. And you could clearly see that Kawhi Leonard, when he says we need better basketball IQ, he ain't talking about Kawhi Leonard. He ain't talking about Kawhi Leonard. So Kawhi's not happy. And remember, all these guys have 1 year left on their deal. All the guys in this core have 1 year left on their deal. So you think that there's not a lot of pressure? Or are you going to go into Kawhi's last year and necessarily bring Doc back? I think that's Ty Lue or Sam Cassell are right there. And you think that those two guys are not interested in moving up a seat? They might be loyal to Doc, but they have 30 jobs. And I'm telling you, if they get the opportunity, and I think Steve Ballmer knows, getting ready to move into the Forum and build and turn the Forum into the Clippers place, you can't be dragging over the same we come up short vibes from that you had the Staples Center and for the rest of your existence over to your new building.
Let me ask a couple questions. And totally agree with both points to some degree. But let me ask a question. We got Kelsey Nicole Nelson, host of Listen In With KNN, David Grubb, host of Hard in the Paint. It's Winning Wednesday. Why are we listening to Phil Jackson, first of all? Remember, Phil was the same guy that called LeBron James's business partners and friends.
We're talking basketball.
No, hold on. Because we're in an era right now where we got to realize that some people used to say stuff that we just thought like, wow, that's just brilliant. And now we realize that even some of the best people that we know and respect had underlying comments in their comments. Yeah, Doc has had some problems in first rounds or in important rounds of the playoffs. Chris Paul, consistently would get hurt, or Blake Griffin would go hurt. One of the two would get hurt. They were up 3-1 on the Rockets a while back, up 20 points in a closeout game, and ended up losing that game. Yes, some of that falls on Doc, but Doc can't coach health. Doc can't coach, guys, execution and what have you. And let me ask this one last question. Why are we not giving Doc the benefit of the doubt that we give other coaches who have players that they have gotten thrown together in one season?
But it's not about one season with Doc.
I'm just asking, though.
In his whole what other coaches in the league would get 10 years past finals, 10 years past their last finals appearance with another franchise? With another franchise. Who's that coach? Tell me the coach in this league that got 10 years in the same spot and didn't get one finals appearance and kept his job. Tell me. Just name that guy.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about why is Doc not getting the same benefit of the doubt?
It's not 1 year. It's 10 years.
He didn't have Kawhi Leonard. He didn't have Paul George.
But he had Chris Paul. He had Blake Griffin. He had DeAndre.
Somebody. I'm a Doc. I like Doc.
10 years.
I'm just asking. And hear me. I have no faith in Ballmer giving Doc the benefit of the doubt. I think Ballmer is going to do more of what David's talking about and say, you've had 10 years. You've been out in this round. You've been out in that round. He's probably going to listen to what Phil Jackson say. But when you take all that out of the way and you look at Doc has had an overturned roster. He had a guy that normally plays on one level that played, literally, Paul George would not have barely have been a starter. He would have been a question coming off the bench.
Why didn't he tell Paul George to drive to the basket? Why didn't he put Paul George in the high post? Why didn't he adjust the offense to create more tempo? Because the Clippers were better in transition than they are in the half court. So why didn't Doc do those things? Why didn't he put more full court pressure with the length that they have to create problems for those smaller Nuggets guards? There were a lot of things that Doc had control of that he didn't take control of. He had control over people's minutes. He didn't put Zubac in. And when Montrezl Harrell was struggling, he didn't take him out. Right. So Doc had control over people's minutes. He had control over the offense. He had control over personnel in that regard. And they weren't injured. This group wasn't hurt. So Denver has a shorter, you say talent top to bottom. How much does Denver really have? You have one all-star on that team. Jamal Murray ain't never, in this playoffs, this is a Jamal Murray we have never seen before.
I agree with that. I think my point is more of, and let me hit the top of the hour. Y'all say that.
OK Conroe and 92.3 FM, K222CX Houston.
The views and opinions expressed on all radio shows broadcast on KYOK are entirely those of the host, guests, and callers, who are entirely responsible for all show content and do not in any way reflect the opinions of KYOK Radio, its sponsors, staff, or management.
All right, y'all, we're back here on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. I'm AJ Jones. It's Winning Wednesday, and none of my people are winning, so I'm moody today. What that girl say? I'm classy, bougie, ratchet. What's the other part? When she said something about
you said it in the wrong. Classy, bougie, ratchet. You got it.
And then she said something about moody. I'm that today. I'm moody today. They trying to fire Doc.
Freudian slip.
AJ's
they listen. They trying to come for Mr. Warren in the Big Ten. The president's running around doing the victory dance because he got back Big Ten football. I'm not feeling it today. I do have a winner though. We will announce the winner right now of the lunch break Keeping Up with the Joneses Pick'em Challenge. Out of 33 entries, we had about 15 of them that were over 500. So honorable mention goes to Erica. She was 8-8. Boston 9-7. Trey 9-7. Amber 9-7. Milo was 9-7. Big Time Floyd did not do big time well. He was 9-7. George Griffin, Double G, was 9-7. Then we go up to the 10-6ers. Alexis was 10-6. Mad Dog 10-6. Big Mike was 10-6. And then we had some folks that did a little something. Chi-Town, who won it all last year, got $600 for the grand prize, was 11-5. Todd Malcolm was 11-5. There was nobody that was 12-4. So does it come down to Todd and Chi-Town in the tiebreaker? Nope. It goes to Ferdinand, 13-3. He was the winner for this week. He picks up $50. We'll be cash apping him $50 courtesy of Royal Locks and Crowns. Royal Locks and Crowns. Cheryl Lowry contributed $50 on behalf of them. They're located at 8401 Westheimer Road, Suite 110 in Houston, Texas, 77063. If you want to call them so you can get your locks, you need to call 832-803-5756. That's 832-803-5756. Royal Locks and Crowns made this week's payout possible. Ferdinand is our Keeping Up with the Joneses lunch break weekly pick'em challenge because I said so.
Congrats,
Ferdinand. Ferdinand was horrible last year. Ferdinand. So the latest words. Every
candid compliments.
I mean, Ferdinand is my boy. He's the very first caller on the show. So if I don't give him, nonsense, somebody else will. So what you got to do is you got to have, the best picks every week. We use the Monday night game as a tiebreaker in case there are ties. We had like 8 tiebreakers last year. And then the top 6 at the end of the season go on to compete for $500 courtesy of one of our sponsors. Ferdinand was like number 4, and then he dropped off to out of the top 6, and then he finished out of the top 12. That's how bad Ferdinand got as the season went on last year. So
killing this poor man.
I love Ferdinand.
All his business in the streets.
I bring it up every Wednesday, trust me. So we're going to see who can hang on this year. Keisha Kelly last year led it for most of the season, and then Chi-Town came and picked it up during the playoffs and pulled off with the win. So who's going to win this season? We'll find out. It's all about Keeping Up with the Joneses on the Lunch Break Weekly Pick'em Challenge. If you want to get in, you got to have your picks in by Thursday. I think the game is at 7:20. I need your picks by 6:30. Get your picks to me by 6:30. AJ at KYOKsports.com or text me 832-403-5005. That's 832-403-5005. Pick all the winners of every game, and then the tiebreaker this week will be none other than the Monday night game will be New Orleans and Las Vegas. Need the winner of that game and the final score, not the combined final score, the actual. This team had this much, that team had that much, and you could be the winner. All right? So congratulations to the good folks out there. All right, Aki Davis. Let me see. What did Aki do? Dr. Aki's.
I wouldn't even play with you. You just put all that man's business out there. I'm afraid for next week.
Aki was only 10-6 too. Y'all can get your picks in. You can
no, I don't want to be bad and have you out here dragging people through the mud.
Y'all are first timers. I'm gonna be nicer to y'all than y'all been to Doc.
just speaking. What did I say wrong? I'm speaking truth.
Oh, nice. I said what I said in a very nice way.
Yeah, Kelsey, you were nice. David was not. So let me ask you a question. If Steve Ballmer, who I think is probably going to find a nice way to say Doc ain't coming back, and maybe Doc decides he don't want to come back. Maybe it's a mutual thing. Who comes into to Clipperland and takes, because they don't have a whole lot of wiggle room either. Who comes into Clipperland and finally get them over the hump? Because Magic Johnson said it best. The Lakers still own LA and always will.
Tweet of the night.
They always will, though. That's like the Yankees are always going to own New York. It's all the Mets will always be second in New York. The Angels will always be second in LA. It's just that's how it works. I mean, I'm sorry. The Nets will always be second to the Knicks. Even if the Knicks win one game next season, they still gonna be more on the pages of the newspapers in New York than the Nets will. It's just that's how it goes. But like I said, there are people who want that job, certainly. And Sam Cassell is right there. And Ty Lue is in that town. And these people, look, they've worked under Doc. He certainly knows them. But this is also on Lawrence Frank, too, who's the GM now and the head of basketball operations for the Clippers. That's a decision that he has to be involved with as well as the new coach. So it's going to be very, very tough because if you do let Doc go, you still have to keep Kawhi happy. Because out of all those people, you're trying to keep Kawhi. If Paul George leaves,
Kawhi's that glue you need. I mean,
I agree, and he clearly was not happy after last night. Somebody just said Wes Unseld Jr.
Very good.
I tweeted that to y'all. Yes. I am a big proponent of him, and I think the Clippers. I wouldn't be mad at it. I think if it were to happen, you need somebody that can handle the personalities, right? Like you said, keep Kawhi happy. I don't think people understand that's a harder job than people expect. And it's because we really don't know Kawhi, right? He only lets us in for so much. But those are some of the harder people to coach because of that reason. Kawhi, he's pissed about what happened. I mean, you can see the disgruntlement happen in last night's game. I mean, I can only imagine what he's thinking about for next season. He has to come back stronger. He has to prove himself. Because right now, media is pulling Kawhi. They're saying, wait. You guys are saying all these great things. He's the best player right now in basketball, and yet he could not deliver again when they were up. I mean, you can't let go of. I can't get it 3-1. You just there's nothing to come back from that, especially when we're talking about players in the field of greats, right? Because so many people could be named in the field of greats. Kawhi's name is there. We know he's proven. We know what he did last season. But to come to this Clippers team and do what they did, last night was an embarrassment. It just was. Fourth quarter, an embarrassment. It's not scoring points, an embarrassment. It just was that. And I think Wes Unseld Jr. again is proven. I want to continue to see what he can do, but I would love that. I think he deserves that opportunity.
Well, I tell you what, I got to take a quick break. When we come back, let's switch to the other team that's got a bunch of question marks. That's none other than the Houston Texans. Let's do that when we come back on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM.
We're trying to quit drinking or doing too many.
Have his daddy's booty, though.
You don't know me and we'll never meet.
Get his daddy's booty.
I had a problem like you once. You used to party a little too much till it got out of control and almost ruined my life.
Wes got to be top 4 all-time NBA booties. It's like him and Chuck.
If you've tried to fix your drinking problem, and you know
I don't know
Rick Mahorn, dudes who just when you see them play, they are bottom heavy.
30 days to replace your old habits with new habits.
Kyle Lowry is one of them people.
And
a lot of booty back there for Kyle Lowry.
The entire be covered. Fix your problem right now before it gets worse. Get clean. Call now and learn more. 800-961-2730.
I like oddly shaped NBA players. They're always funny to me. Dudes who just don't look like basketball players who do really well.
961-2730.
Hi, I'm Larry Scott.
Like when you see little round guards, like when Team Cleaves or Khalid El Amin and those little fat guards are just breaking people down. I love basketball.
So join me Saturday from 1 to 2 p.m.
It's your boy, man.
So Christian in this show.
Y'all talking about
KYOK Radio, 11:40 a.m. and the all-new 92.3 FM and KYOKradio.org.
My name is Devon McDonald from Jamaica, play with Indianapolis Colts, and you listen to the lunch break.
All right, y'all. We're back here on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. Again, I want to say congratulations to Ferdinand on winning week 1 of the Keeping Up with the Joneses Lunch Break Pick'em Challenge. $50 courtesy of the good folks over at Royal Locks and Crowns on Westheimer. Be sure to call and tell them AJ sent you and thank them for sponsoring week 1. All right, coming back. So we talked about Doc. Probably going to be gone. I'm being a contrarian. Doc has had a lot of time. I hated to see it. Would have been fun to see the Lakers and the Clippers. A lot of folks even had the Clippers penciled in to the finals, I guess because of Kawhi. But I will say, I think that Doc has some splaining to do. There's a whole lot going on in Houston, and Daryl Morey is coming back as the Rockets general manager. Not only did Tillman Fertitta drop that little gem, but he also said that Morey is leading the head coaching search. I'm sorry. I got little faith that anything will be different because that means they're going to plan around James Harden. They're going to bring in somebody who's going to kowtow to James Harden. So we're just going to have the same old soup with a few different ingredients. Kelsey.
You just said it. It's more of the same. We just talked about that with the Clippers. And I think, unfortunately, it feels like so many teams are falling into this trap and loophole. Look, if it didn't work this time, it's not going to work the next time. I think we see that. In the Rockets, AJ, I'll tell you, they're a team that was so promising. I wish the best for them, but they're broken. They're quite frankly broken. It does start at the top. I think it filters down, but building around James Harden is not the worst thing, but we saw what happened this year and just the Westbrook experience. And it was hard. It was hard to watch. Literally, Russ was a ticking time bomb. Literally a ticking time bomb that was exploding in front of all. Literally, he even said it. He was on the court sometimes and didn't even know what to do. Like, you never want to hear that from an NBA player.
Right.
You brought him to assist and help you get to that championship type of level. So it's going to take so much more. But I'm like you. If you do that, it's just more of the same, which means you're going to get the same results. I'm sorry, Houston.
Yeah. And David, I'm coming to you in a second. The sad part about it, the Rockets have no youth. Like, there is nobody down that bench that you're like, oh man, I can't wait to see this guy get his shot. There's nobody.
No picks. You got no picks on the horizon. So, and anybody you trade, like I said, outside of Robert Covington, who has a lot of value to a lot of teams in the league, you're not getting high first-round picks for anybody else that you try to trade. You're not getting a first-round pick for Eric Gordon. You're not getting a first-round. You won't get a first-round pick for Russell Westbrook at this point.
It's sad, but yeah, it's because he was that bad.
You're gonna get back a player and some seconds for Russ, or a couple of players and some seconds to make the salaries match. But you're not getting, equal value. And so the only thing you can either do, and we talked about this on Monday, you either gonna have to tear it all down and say, how do we do this again? Or you are stuck with riding out James Harden until his contract expires and you get to the point where you want to trade him. But I would say this, look at the NBA right now and look at the teams that made the conference finals. You look at Boston. How did they build that roster internally? Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, Jason Tatum, those are guys that they grew up and developed. You go to Denver, Jokic, Murray, Monty Morris, that whole team, Gary Harris, the majority of those players, Will Barton, they are homegrown talents. They built a team. Miami, you added Jimmy Butler, but the rest of that group predominantly, outside of Goran Dragic in their main rotation, the guys that they count on outside of a Crawford, Jay Crawford or, Andre Iguodala, who you add for depth,
right,
are all steeped in a Miami culture. This whole thing of superstars, there aren't enough to go around. There aren't 20 superstars in the NBA who can carry a team. You got to build a team now. You got to build a team. And the teams that have advanced the farthest in the bubble are teams that don't have an all NBA performer on them. Three of these 4 teams, only Jokic is going to make an all first team or second team NBA.
Yep.
Out of those 3. And so you take that and you say, but each one of them is 8, 9, 10 players deep who all know their responsibilities, who have coaches that allow them to play fearless basketball. And then on top of that, are each smart enough to make adjustments. You would say Nick Nurse, Brad Stevens and Mike Malone in Denver are probably three of the best strategical minds in the entire league. So you get smart coaches who let their players get into positions where they are not afraid to make mistakes, that they're confident in what they do. We've seen you don't need 4 superstars to win a championship. Yeah. If you build a good team, you put yourself in position to do so. Even that Raptors team from last year, Kawhi was the only confirmed superstar amongst that group.
Right. Yep. Yeah, no, I agree. I've ruffled feathers. I've got people who quit speaking to me because I think that the NFL has 2 superstars, LeBron James and Kevin Durant. Everyone else in that next tier is a star, and then the tier before that is a great player, and tier before that are good players. And folks want to argue me down. I'm sorry. Steph Curry has not stepped into superstardom yet. He's a star. You got guys that are stars of their team. Russell Westbrook was a star in Oklahoma City. What have we seen out of Russell Westbrook after he got out of Oklahoma City? I think it's a word that we throw around way too much. And then when we see, like you said, David, when it's time for the superstars to be superstars, it ain't there. It's only a couple of guys who can do it. So
not if you catered your team to that one guy.
Absolutely.
That's the thing. You have to have a culture where it's bigger than even your best player.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Jimmy Butler knows he's not number 1 on the pecking order in Miami because there is no pecking order in Miami. Number 1 is Coach Spo. Right. Everybody else is behind him.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that being said, I don't even want to go through the who do we think is going to lead the Rockets, because from the top down, it doesn't matter anymore. It's going to be the same thing, just with a different color or with different names or what have you. It's going to be different. So can we move on? Can we move on?
Sure.
Listen, I'm serious. I'm on one today, so I need a little guidance, a little help. I'll have us in the wrong thing. Kelsey, there's a football team coming to town to deal with the Houston Texans.
Yeah.
I got folks that are upset with me because I am not genuflecting and saying and speaking in tongues over the phenomenal Hall of Fame performance that David Johnson had against the Kansas City Chiefs when he ran for an ungodly 11 carries, 77 yards, and I guess the best touchdown run in NFL history. I'm losing the 1 or 2 friends that I have left because I'm not giving enough credit to the great Hall of Fame performance of David Johnson. Can we talk about the team that's coming in that has actually done something that we don't have to embellish? Tell us about Baltimore. Who's coming to town on Sunday?
Let me tell you. So this Baltimore Ravens team is red hot, and they have not stopped anywhere off from where they were last season before Derrick Henry happened. I will say, watching the Ravens game, Lamar looks great. For everyone saying he can't throw the football, he looked amazing in his connections with Hollywood Brown, the deep threat ball for the Ravens. This Ravens team has just expanded their game. The running backs, J.K. Dobbins, stepped in. It's incredible, the 3-headed monster running back game that they have, so they can get it done on the ground. Lamar's throwing the football. Mark Andrews, who I think is one of the most underrated tight ends in the National Football League, got the job done. Him and Lamar's chemistry is huge. Again, I think the Ravens have weapons on the defensive side of the ball. I love what I saw. I do worry a little bit about the secondary. I think if Houston can, they might can expose them just a little bit, but overall, because Njoku for the Browns, I thought had some pretty good catches. OBJ was OBJ, but overall, I think the Ravens, honestly, I think they're a team that might have one loss. And the one loss that I'm giving them, AJ, is maybe to the Kansas City Chiefs, and that's a maybe. But I think so far, on both sides of the ball, I get they played the Browns, because I know some people like Kelsey, they played the Browns. The Browns can be as bad as they want, but at the end of the day, I think the Ravens stepped up where they needed to. Patrick Queen, another rookie that I've been so impressed by stepping up in that linebacker position. He did it right, after he wore the Ray Lewis shirt. And I think Ray Lewis would be proud of the job that he did. So honestly, I've been very impressed. I think in the DMV area, I know Baltimore is technically not inside the DMV, but the job that Baltimore and the job that Washington did, I have not seen people this excited for football in a while in those spots. So I worry about your Texans, because again, I think what we saw from the opener, they weren't horrible. The end of that game did not go as planned, but they have a lot of gaps to fill, and it doesn't help when you have a red hot team coming into town. So sorry, AJ, your mood might not improve much over the weekend.
Yeah, no, trust me. I've been invited to leave Houston because I don't talk glowingly about the Texans. I'm honest about my assessment of them. There was a local writer, writes for the Houston Chronicle, that apparently used to cover Baltimore and Washington and what have you. And he made an interesting observation that everybody has grabbed onto, that even though Cleveland lost by a substantial score, he felt like the Browns controlled the line of scrimmage on offense and defense. Like their defensive front gave Baltimore problems, and their offensive front gave the defensive line Boston of Ravens some problems. I don't see that, but again, he's smarter than everybody else because he writes for the Chronicle. So, do you see any concerns there that the Texans line, offensively or defensively, can give the Ravens line some kind of problem?
I think too much credit of the Browns. Lamar wasn't able to do a lot of the trickery that we had seen him do last season, part of the reason why he won MVP. They were able to put pressure on him. Ronnie Stanley did not do the job that he needed to do. And I think when Lamar had pressure on him, though, I think that's what I gave him credit for, because I actually thought he made very smart football decisions. But I think we haven't seen, let's be honest, we know to get to the Ravens, you need to get to Lamar, because once Lamar gets past you, it's lights out, and you are going to be on the wrong end of a highlight reel. So I think if the Texans can bring the heat to them, I do think that there's a little bit of weakness in the Ravens offensive line, but defensive line-wise, they're not like the Washington team on paper, but defensive-wise, I think John's going to have some heat coming to him. I didn't think that was a bad side of the Ravens at all. But again, I know they played the Browns team, but the Browns does have, if we're talking about people on paper, the Browns have a nice roster on paper. They have some big names on paper on both sides of the football. The Browns' biggest problem is they have never been able to get it all together. Cleveland is Cleveland. But I do think, I don't think it'll be as bad of a score as the Browns-Ravens game was, AJ, but I do think, I think Baltimore has already marked it off as a win.
Well, considering Baltimore dog walked the Texans last year, what was it, 41-7?
It was bad. It was
and you know, they got dog walked pretty good, you know, Thursday night. You know, again, I'm looking at this offensive line, defensive line thing. The Texans were in the bottom 5 with sacks and quarterback pressures last year combined. They didn't improve that this year. Yeah, they got J.J. Watt back, you know, for this game this coming week. We don't know how long that's going to last. And what I keep saying about Kansas City, they're not afraid of J.J. Watt. They scheme around J.J. Watt. They let J.J. do what he does, and they run the ball where he's not. They throw the ball where he's not. So he's another guy out there. It's not like the Texans have Aaron Donald on the other end, or like they've got DJ Reader, you know, in the middle of the line. I don't know if the Baltimore Ravens, who have a very capable offensive coordinator and head coach and a wonderful quarterback who executes, are as concerned about the line pressure that they're going to get from a team that does not provide a lot of pressure on the line. David, we're going to take a break. When we come back, I want to hear your thoughts about a comment that folks are starting to make as well. It's the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM.
11:40 a.m. The legendary KYOK 92.3 FM. Radio stations in one.
Now is a great time to replace your worn-out windows during the Renewal by Andersen 25-year savings event. Upgrade your home today. Buy 4 windows and get the 5th one free.
David, the question is, or the comment is, people still saying they don't know if Lamar Jackson's style of play is sustainable.
By Andersen takes every CDC
Hold on, let me pull a hamstring, rolling my eyes on that
For
one.
25 years, people have trusted us for their window replacement. You can't.
What more does he have to do?
Buy 4, get the 5th one free.
I've been saying that stuff since Fran Tarkenton, man.
245-1537.
They never say that about
800-245.
AFC offensive player of the week.
800-245-1537.
3 touchdowns, no picks.
800-245-1537.
Wasn't he 70% accuracy in that game?
Crazy. Like, that's like literally how we want Lamar to come out. And again, did it with the Browns, but still Lamar didn't.
By Anderson.com.
but he wasn't a check down king either.
You're home. You're a
It wasn't
diabetic.
dink and dunk,
You need
you know, down the
supplies,
field.
but you don't want
No, he didn't build his average up on cheap passes. No.
US Med for home
4-yard
delivery
pass,
of your
30-yard
supplies.
gain.
If you have diabetes and
Well,
you're
tell me this. Is
crowded
Jared Goff's style of play sustainable? 'Cause he ain't been good in 2 years.
and late,
What's your boy in Philly?
now if you test your blood sugar,
Has his style of play been sustainable?
insulin 3 or
Carson Wentz ain't even get to start in Super Bowl. So tell me all these other people whose style is sustainable.
pricking your fingers.
There are very few quarterbacks in the league who get to be 10-year greats, 15-year greats. So I ain't worried about Lamar. If he
fly and bill your
let the man play till he can't.
Get some peace
He'll
of
figure it
mind.
out.
Call US Med today.
800.
They still think it's about this, though. That's what it really is about.
That's what they're going back to.
Because they think that if once his legs go, he won't be able to do anything. Not like Randall Cunningham figured it out after his legs stopped, and he had to be a drop back pass. He didn't win, NFC MVP Offensive Player of the Year or anything.
Listen, we're back here on the show on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. I got three the hard way. Kelsey Nicole Nelson, host of Listen In With KNN. David Grubb, host of Hard in the Paint and writer for CrescentCitySports.com. And then you got your boy, AJ, who's just an angel today. I am so sweet today. I am just like the median between you two. Because y'all
You got a fleet of buses. You have a fleet of buses that you are trying to throw people under today. It's like being at the barn.
I told him, line them up. I'm throwing everybody under the bus today.
It's like being outside of school at 3 o'clock. It's just buses lined up.
And AJ's
3 o'clock, playground, and don't get on that bus. Yeah. So David, before the break, there are still educated former players. There are still educated, award-winning broadcast journalists that keep using this phrase. I am still not sure if Lamar Jackson's style of play is sustainable. David, what say you?
What's his style of play, first and foremost, is what you got to ask me. Because as far as I'm concerned, he's playing quarterback. And everybody brings different things to that position, every player. And they evolve over time. Every quarterback evolves over time. John Elway was a scrambler when he first came in the league. Brett Favre ran all over the place and threw, wild passes. The first thing first is that in the 2 seasons you've seen Lamar, well, the 1+ season now that we're going into with him as a full-time starter, is he doesn't turn the ball over. His accuracy has been high. He's been able to get the ball down the field. He's been also able to hit in the intermediate. Like I said, his relationship with his tight end is strong, but he's also solid. So the things that I think when people try to compare, you look at a Michael Vick, who basically they cut off one side of the field for when he threw the ball for the early part of his career. I don't see that in Baltimore. Yep. I see them letting Lamar read the field and make decisions. So if receivers don't have a problem with it, if the running backs don't have a problem with it, and it's successful, then there's no guarantee that anybody's going to be great for 10, 15 years. Larry Johnson, Priest Holmes, as running backs had a peak and were gone quicker than we wanted to see. There have been quarterbacks. Steve Young, his whole peak was roughly 5 or 6 years.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So even if Lamar is only great for 7 or 8 years, if he leads the Ravens to a Super Bowl or a championship, nobody gonna care if it lasted.
Right.
There are plenty of people who we have been anointed. Kirk Cousins, Jared Cook, we just started talking about offline. All these guys who have been anointed.
Yeah.
Matthew Stafford, who I love as a passer, but has never won a playoff game. But so you have all these other quarterbacks and nobody says, are they going to hold up or is their style going to hold up? Some of them just taking licks, getting hit 60, 70 times a season.
Yeah.
What does that have to do with anything? Either you can play or you can't. And when you can't play, that deadline is different for every player. So I have no idea if Lamar is going to be great for 3 years or 30 years, but I'm not worried about his style of play.
And I will say it's just interesting to me because I think, again, if we dissect that first game, Lamar was able to show his versatility. Again, he wasn't running as much as we were used to. And then also when he was seeing all his receivers, Boykin, Snead, Andrew, everybody was getting involved in the ball game. They spread the ball out well, which will probably be another problem. The Ravens are doing something that they didn't have last year. I think last year they had weapons, but the receivers were not consistent. This year, from what I saw in that Browns game, Lamar has weapons around him. He probably won't have to do everything he had to do last year and put the team on his back to try to get it, which is quite frankly why they lost in that Tennessee game. But it's crazy to me that we're still asking this question when the man is coming up again, AFC Offensive Player of the Week, a reigning MVP. And if you look at that score, that was one of the most definitive scores that happened this entire weekend. And he's going up against Baker Mayfield, who for some reason people are still believing in Cleveland.
I'm wondering if his style of play is sustainable.
That's the question I have. That's the biggest question that I have. Because look, you have a lot of disgruntled people in Cleveland. Look, we're talking about this OBJ trade. Come on, there's so many questions that we need to be asking about others, and it's sad that Lamar, I feel like probably for his entire career, will have to always prove himself as an NFL quarterback.
And part of it too is what is Lamar's style? How is it different than Russell Wilson's style?
Right.
Honestly, it's basically the same thing.
Or what we saw from Cam this weekend.
And I think part of it too is, and we've talked about this before, it affects the fact that he's dark as a quarterback. There's always that assumption that you rely on athleticism. Always. Even going back to Warren Moon, who was not a runner by any stretch of the imagination, the assumption was that he was a better athlete than a quarterback. And I think that occurs with dark. There ain't nobody asking Pat Mahomes if his style can play. You know what I mean? Nobody's asking Pat Mahomes that. But you take a dark-skinned quarterback who runs,
you still
and they say, what am I? I'm saying.
I'm not saying
Randall Cunningham. If it's a white guy who runs with, it's John Elway, and I said it's John Elway, Fran Tarkenton. Nobody said that they were out of control. Nobody said that. All they were talked about is being, Fran Tarkenton had every passing record you could throw up there for the longest time. But nobody said if he was unsustainable or not.
Yeah.
But you put a dark-skinned dude who runs, and automatically you are an athlete. Tyrod Taylor, they've tried it with him.
Yep.
They tried it with, they tried it with Michael Vick. Who have they not tried to convert? If you are a dark-skinned black dude who played quarterback, the first thing they're gonna try to find a way to do is get you to play another possession.
What's interesting is, they came up with nicknames for guys like Roger the Dodger, and what did that mean? He knew how to elude the rush and scramble. Again. Fran Tarkenton, is in the Hall of Fame because of his scrambling ability. They say that Aaron Rodgers can extend plays with his legs.
Ben Roethlisberger, they always talk about it. Ben's legs.
This past game.
And that's exactly what Lamar Jackson did, because he didn't run the ball a whole lot. He definitely didn't run it for like he used to.
Yeah.
But he definitely made some plays on the end of extending the play and avoiding the rush and things like that. Put it this way, I don't know if his game is going to be sustainable, to your point, David, for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. I do know his game is coming in here on Sunday. I know it will be here, and they'll have to deal with it at 3:25 p.m. Central Time. Yeah. And I know this, if they had a problem dealing with Pat Mahomes and Edwards-Helaire, they're going to have a problem with Lamar Jackson, and they're going to have a problem with that backfield. And I notice I said backfield because I text you, Kelsey, J.K. Dobbins is a whole situation. And that was week 1. He's still trying to get us, where's the bathroom at again? Where do I go get my meal tray?
Yeah.
Once he gets comfortable, watch what him and what's my boy from
Mark Ingram.
Who's better?
Watch that. Watch that right there. Just watch that.
Well, really quick on this quarterback situation, it's interesting that David said that, because I think one dark-skinned quarterback who is the opposite of Lamar is right here in Washington, and Dwayne Haskins. When Dwayne started scrambling, let me tell you, when I got excited. It's not something that we're always used to seeing, because he is a quarterback that usually prefers to drop back and throw it, right? But we're seeing his confidence mature. And he's going to be, as we talk about the year of the black quarterback, he's one I'm excited to see continue to evolve, because what we saw in that Philadelphia game, and I cannot praise Washington enough for coming back the way they did, especially everybody had them written out, right? It's the Eagles. We didn't hear about the injuries. Carson Wentz is coming into town. Washington football team had a whole bunch of storylines going on this season, right? But everybody had counted them out. I think Dwayne Haskins did not get, and again, I think he's going to continue to improve. I talked with Doug Williams about this weekend. I think he is one of those quarterbacks that complete opposite of Lamar, but he's going to kind of have to think he's going to be able to scramble when needed to extend plays if Washington wants to do something in the NFC East. Because after what I saw from NFC East teams, you guys, Washington might have a chance. To do something in that division. I'm just saying, the Cowboys weren't that impressive.
That division is not that great. Yeah, that's not a great division.
That's saying something.
Okay, am I wrong? What did you like about NFC East teams this weekend?
You can win that division with a 9-7. You've seen it every year, basically. If you get a 9-7, you can win. You got a chance.
Right. The interesting thing is, back to Dwayne Haskins, what did he mistakenly get credited for? Being a running quarterback. When Stephen A. Smith.
I never saw him run at Ohio State.
He's scrambled.
And he never did. And he never did. And just like the kid that's there now, Justin Fields, somebody said he had an accuracy issue. It doesn't take long to pull it up. Dude's completing 73% of his passes. So, folks use storylines, even if they are absent of facts, about certain quarterbacks, certain players, and what have you. Like I say, here's the bottom line. All that may be true. He's going to be here Sunday. We'll see. We'll see there.
I'm excited for that game.
But ask 25 teams in NFL if they would take Lamar Jackson. Ask them.
Had to redo that draft?
Ask them.
Oh, yeah. They
right now, not even if the draft. Ask them today.
Yeah.
Ask them today. 25 teams in this league, Lamar Jackson is better than their starting quarterback at the very least. Of course, you're not going to talk about, Pat Mahomes, they ain't switching. Saints ain't giving up Drew Brees for him. But most teams in the league, you tell me that if he shows up and he's number one on your depth chart, you have a concern. You have a concern. If you're San Francisco, tell me how much more confident you would be with the 49ers if Lamar Jackson was the quarterback compared to Jimmy Garoppolo. You tell me that right now after what you saw happen with the San Francisco with the Cardinals.
Oh yeah.
And they're gonna do they're gonna do the same thing to Kyler Murray soon too. It's about to happen to him. Because he ran for 100 yards, but they're gonna say, but he completed the 14 passes to DeAndre Hopkins. They ain't gonna talk about that. They're gonna talk about the 100 yards running. That's what you're gonna see on Sunday in all the shows. They're gonna start talking about how you can't stop Kyler Murray from running, and can his little body take punishment running outside the pocket. That's what you're gonna hear on Sunday.
Well, really, here's the point. Just because somebody else says it, we don't have to repeat it. Just because somebody makes an ignorant talking point doesn't mean we have to repeat it.
Yep.
So, I my words are few. He'll be here Sunday. He'll be here. We'll see what happens. Kelsey, are there any advantages that you know of Baltimore over the Texans? Are there any areas where you expect Baltimore to dominate? I'm concerned about the Texans secondary, especially given what I saw in the passing game from Lamar Jackson and those wide receivers, because he did spread the ball around.
Yes. Everybody was happy after that game. As we say in DC, everybody eats. And that's exactly what that Ravens team did with Lamar. And you can see his confidence growing with him, the connection growing with him. I thought Snead was one who last season I wanted to see more production of. He grew. Boykin is one I've been tough on. When Boykin was catching balls, I was the happiest person because I think he's one that on paper is there. But in game day, he hadn't shown up. So I think the passing game, but also, like you said, the running game, Mark Ingram, I think, was a little bit slow to start in the last game, but if Mark Ingram gets going and J.K. Dobbins gets going, this Ravens offense has so many weapons and so many different things that they can do. It's going to be scary, I think, for our defenses to adjust to that. And I think that's why it's so hard to prepare for when the Ravens come into town. So mind you, I said the offense, I said the wide receivers, I said the running backs. Again, you have tight end. And also, let's remember, Lamar, if he sees a gap and the ball is in his hand, he's going. He's going to get those yards to make sure his team gets down that football field. I think the biggest thing is if you can pressure him and maybe make him to make some uncomfortable passes, of course, and get that pick, that might be the game changer. But so far, from what I saw, Lamar's confidence is on the ground. And we saw what he was rocking at game day, the green shirt, the green face mask. He feels like money. He's about to play like money.
David, there was another guy that I wanted to ask you about. I can't find him on the deal. Didn't Baltimore pick up a linebacker out of LSU?
Yeah, Patrick Queen. Yeah, talk about Patrick Queen. Yeah, we wanted him in New Orleans. He ends up in Baltimore, which, he's a perfect fit there. Perfect.
Yeah, I'm trying to see. Wasn't he like all over the field? Hold on, let me get this stat.
That's what he does. Yeah. That's what he does. I watched that boy for 3 years. That's what he does.
He had four solo tackles, 4 assisted tackles, and he had a sack for GP. And forced a fumble. That's a rookie. No, he had training camp, but no preseason games. And game one, he's out there like, let's eat, let's get it, let's go.
Quiet as kept. I'll just say this from Louisiana, from my perspective, and watching LSU these last 7 years. Devin White got all the hype, and Devin White is a genius at football. One of the smartest football players I've ever seen. Physically, Patrick Queen has him beat, and Patrick Queen is very smart too. But the physical piece. Just his ability to move side to sideline and his instincts of just knowing where the ball is. Yeah. And you add that to his preparation and being put on a team that puts preparation at a premium.
Yep.
That boy's he's a dangerous man.
He's confident. I mean, think about it again. He wore Ray Lewis' shirt. Think about the shoes he has to try to fill in Baltimore. Baltimore is a team that's been known for defense for a very long time. And what I saw from him, the Ravens were the only team that have 2 rookies we put up for rookies of the week, right? And J.K. Dobbins and Patrick Queen. Their development, of course, I think John Harbaugh, we talked about great coaching, just a phenomenal coach. We saw his relationship with Lamar, and you can see the rookies rallying behind him. I think Patrick Queen is going to be one that we're going to talk about for many years to come. And also, like I said, we're talking about rookies, have to talk about Chase Young and the job that he also did in Washington.
Yeah, absolutely.
Quarterback. Because again, we're talking about defense in Washington, people. That's a big deal. We're talking about the defense in Washington. So again, it's been fun, AJ, right now. I'm smiling right now because B&B football right now is in a very good place. It's week 1, I get it, but
listen, one thing y'all needed to do and y'all did it is got rid of Gruden. I'm sorry. The Grudens are more hype than anything else. And the fact that both of them had a job at the same time. Jay Gruden did not do the one thing that he was brought into Washington to do, and that was coach up Robert Griffin III. How the did you keep your job after you didn't do the one thing that you were brought to do? And then you had issues with Kirk Cousins, and now you still there. So everything will be all right. Everything.
I give him props for what he said about Kirk Cousins, though. Those posts that came out about him and what he said about Kirk, they were dead on. Did you see him, Anthony? Did you see him?
I saw them, but I got a thing about a coach like that and his comments in the media. It's like, brother,
are you surprised about Kirk Cousins in particular to say that Kirk needs it perfect in order to throw the ball? That's what we've seen out of Kirk Cousins. He will not throw it unless it's perfect. That is his, and you saw it for Washington all those years. There's a reason they never wanted to extend him because he couldn't beat winning teams.
Yeah,
which he still only has 1 win over a winning team in his life.
That's why I was so surprised when he got that contract that he got. I think many of us were like,
there are certain people that either interview well or they really got some just some information on other people that they don't want out because man. The fact that he got that money was crazy. I got to take a break. We're going to do rapid fire when we come back on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. It is Winning Wednesday.
We didn't even talk about Kyler Murray. That's what I'm saying. Just so many.
Tell you how you can get real health insurance first.
And they're going to do it to him soon. It's coming, you know.
Now you can
How long can Kyler Murray survive?
$6
I was
a day.
so tired of
and
talking about that
is
man's height and his ham size when he came out. It's like the dude is one on every level.
He's no shorter than Drew Brees. I'm sorry. So why is it an issue for him if he's no shorter than Drew Brees? He's no shorter. There are more 5'10", 5'9" quarterbacks in this league right now than there ever have been.
Yeah.
Everybody is 6', and the 6'6" guys. They haven't worked out. You talk about these big giant where have they been? We've been talking about big quarterbacks, 6'5", 6'6". They're not. I don't see those guys out there destroying the NFL right now.
They talked about Lamar Jackson's accuracy at Louisville and literally overlooked it with Josh Allen, who was
and look at what Lamar was asked to do in Louisville. Bobby Petrino called a lot of deep balls.
Yep.
And it's harder to put up those numbers in college when you're throwing it deep a lot.
Yep.
These guys fatten their numbers by throwing because the windows are usually so big in college. You can fatten those numbers with crossing routes all day.
Comfort of your home and let US
That's why, again, I think Lamar is actually going to prove a lot of people wrong. Until if I see the arm strength that I saw in this first game, I think as we talked about, he prepares to hopefully get over that playoff slump that he's been in. I think he has a lot to prove this year. Again, I think that's why I was talking Chiefs and Lamar. He worked this offseason to improve that. He did.
And you did right. Those receivers let him down in that game. That wasn't him.
Yeah,
that was the receivers.
He drop balls and things. That's what I'm saying. The connection. I mean, Hollywood Brown, the reshape of his body, the spectrum. Those two are going to be a
417-0851.
I'm Ben Tankett, and you are listening to The Lunch Break.
All right, y'all. We're back on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. AJ Jones, along with my 3 The Hard Way crew, myself, Kelsey Nicole Nelson, host of Listen In With KNN, and David Grubb, host of Hard in the Paint, also does a little writing for CrescentCitySports.com. And again, we're doing it 3 the hard way. All right, y'all, got to do rapid fire. Let's do it. Starting with tomorrow night's game, I'm going to give you the matchup. You just give me who off the top of your head is going to win. All right, let's go. Tomorrow night, 7:20. It's the Battle of Ohio. The team from Northern Ohio, I ain't even saying their name. They haven't even earned my respect yet, versus my hometown Cincinnati Bengals. Kelsey, who wins that game?
Cincy all the way.
David Grubb, who wins that game?
Cincy.
All right. Both teams looking for, I'm sorry, I'm going Cincy as well. Both teams going for their very first win of the season. It'll be the Dallas Cowboys hosting the Atlanta Falcons. David Grubb, who wins that game?
Dallas.
Kelsey Nicole Nelson, who wins that game?
I think Dallas too. They need to come back.
That's my upset special. I got Atlanta winning that one.
That would be.
I don't bet on the Falcons ever. So
I don't even the Saints fans. I hope none of my hometown shares are listening to that. But for some reason, that one won't leave me alone. I feel like Atlanta is going to come in and expose the secondary of the Cowboys, which quietly as it's kept is not as good as it could have been if they paid Byron Jones. So let's go to the other game. Minnesota and Indianapolis, yuck and yucker. Kelsey Nicole Nelson, who wins that one?
I'm going Minnesota.
Minnesota. It won't even be close, Minnesota.
Yeah, well, that's right off.
I'm going Minnesota as well. I told y'all Phillip Rivers was going to come in giving stuff away, and guess what he did? He gave stuff away. I'm going Minnesota on the road. All right, Jacksonville and Tennessee. If we have to hear one more time about Gardner Minshew, Kelsey Nicole Nelson, who wins the battle of the AFC South?
Tennessee, that's easy.
David Grubb, who wins that one?
Take me to another place. Tennessee, yeah.
I'm going Tennessee. We're unanimous on that one. All right. I should save this game for last, but they don't get no special favors here. Houston Texans hosting the Baltimore Ravens. David Grubb, who wins that game?
Kelsey Nicole Nelson.
I know exactly what you mean.
I was about to do the big press signs, but I don't want to be like John Wall and throw up some gang signs. I'm doing that.
Don't do that. Don't do that. I'm trying to keep you employed out here in these streets. We can't have you.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm going with the Ravens in that one, and I don't care if it's close or by a lot. I got the Ravens winning that one. All right. Battle of the NFC North. You got Detroit and Green Bay. Kelsey Nicole Nelson, who wins that one?
It's Green Bay, but after that drop from Detroit, I want it for them. I want it for them, Green Bay.
All right. And let's have some honorable mention for Adrian Peterson, who almost ran for a buck in a game where did he just get the playbook right before the game? I mean, come on now. That dude is timeless. I love him. AD all day. David Grubb, who you got?
Green Bay. Detroit never beats Green Bay. We never beat Green Bay.
Yeah, sorry.
Same old story. I got Green Bay as well. All right, then we got the battle of the AFC East, Buffalo and Miami, the two sexy picks in the AFC East this season. David, who you got, Buffalo or Miami?
Buffalo. I still don't think – I don't trust Ryan Fitzpatrick. I can't ever –
Yeah, it's Buffalo. Sorry, Miami.
I'm going to go with Miami at home. I'm going to go with Brian Flores at home. I don't know how he does it. I don't know. Maybe defensively, but I got Miami winning that one. All right, this game right here, if one team loses, it should be in the discussion for everybody in that front office. San Francisco visiting the Jets. Kelsey wins that game.
Yeah, if you lose to the Jets, San Francisco, we got a conversation.
Everybody got to go.
The Jets are probably the worst team in the NFL this year. Yeah. And I'm surprised, like, if Adam Gase might not make it through the first month of the season.
First head coach fired this year. Shouldn't have been brought back. Shouldn't have got the job in the first place. But no. You didn't hear me say that. I'm being nice today.
Yet somewhere Todd Bowles right now is getting a good laugh at this stuff.
You can only right.
I got the 49ers in that one. What could be a pretty good matchup, but we don't know how bad the other team is. The Rams visiting Philly at noon, coming from the left coast. Kelsey, who wins that one? Rams or Philly?
Rams. Eagles have no one left. Everybody's injured. Everyone's gone. Rams all the way. And Carson. Let's get it together.
I love Robert Woods, man. I love Robert Woods. Nobody in the NFL can guard that dude. I mean, you saw it. If they had kept going to him against the Cowboys, I don't think that game would have been close. Yeah. They just went away from him. So I don't think Philly's defense, they keep losing people left and right. And so I don't see how they can stop. It's not like the Rams, and the Rams have not lost anything in the running game.
Yeah.
That was the thing, is that they can still run the football. And I think a power running attack actually helps Jared Goff a lot better than just being able to get big plays out of the running game. So, I think the Rams take that one.
Yeah, I'm going with the Rams as well. And I'm only going to do it one more time, because if the Rams turn out to be who they were last year, I'm not riding with them like I did last year. I'm not. So I'm going to go with the Rams over Philly, because I believe more in the Rams than I do Philly. All right, this is going to be a pretty good game. Pittsburgh and Denver.
I don't think that's a good game at all. I think Pittsburgh is going to beat Denver, because Denver has no pass rush right now. None. They couldn't get to the passer at all. And if you can't get to Roethlisberger and Juju Smith-Schuster gets time, and they can get John Connor to the second level, which I think they can against a weaker defensive line in Denver, and then Denver still doesn't have a quarterback. I mean, it's just so what scares you about Denver? And if you don't have one thing that makes another team feel like they need their game plan for, then I think that's for Pittsburgh. Is like Pittsburgh has to feel confident they can do enough against every phase of that Broncos offense and put up enough points on their own to win that game.
Gotcha. All right, so you got Pittsburgh. Kelsey, who you got?
This is an interesting one, because what I saw from Pittsburgh, I mean, of course, they picked it up later in the game, but it all is dependent upon Big Ben. I think I am very susceptible of Big Ben. I don't know the Big Ben that we're going to get. So if anything, I'm going to do this as my upset, and I'm going to pick Denver.
Well, here's what I liked about Denver. While they don't have pass rush, they got a stingy defense, and they hit. I mean, they put some nice hits out there. I don't know how bad Tennessee was, but I do like Denver's defense. But here's what I'll say. Pittsburgh defense is a lot better than Denver's defense and offense. So I'm going with Pittsburgh, but, again, I thought it'd be an interesting matchup. The battle of the overrated underperformers, Carolina and Tampa Bay. Who wins this one? Kelsey,
I'm going Tampa Bay. Brady ain't going to be ashamed for 2 weeks in a row, so I'm going Tampa Bay.
David?
Wait, are you calling the Panthers underachievers? Because nobody's expecting the Panthers to do anything.
Counting the Panthers to do anything.
People think the Panthers to do anything.
Where you been, AJ?
In Teddy, we trust. In Teddy, we trust.
I mean, Teddy had a good game last week. He threw for 280, one touchdown, no picks.
And Christian McCaffrey, we trust. And Matt Rule. Come on, they got Matt Rule.
The thing what we saw out of Tampa is that their front line is still strong. They can create pressure. Their secondary still has some issues, but that depends on if Teddy can exploit those. The big thing for them is going to be, can they stop McCaffrey out of the backfield? Because that's where they struggled against the Saints, is getting Alvin Kamara down as a passer. Run defense is not their problem.
Right.
It's pass defense.
Right.
And Brady, he got some harsh criticism from his own coach and Bruce Arians. If you talk about bus throwing, Bruce Arians was not polite in his criticism of Tom Brady. So I'm very interested to see how Brady responds to that. Rob Gronkowski did not look healthy in week 1. He looked really slow.
Yeah.
And he got beat off the point of attack every time.
Yeah. So
that's an adjustment too. I also find it coincidental that Tom Brady, again, his favorite receiver is always little dudes. He loves that little dude. I think that they'll put up some points, but it's all gonna be determined whether or not Carolina can score, because defensively Carolina is mediocre at best.
Problem. Yep, that's scoring for Carolina. So
Godwin's in the concussion protocol as of right now. Don't know if he'll get out before Sunday. Questions on whether Tom Brady can really get the ball down the field. I don't think so. Again, is Carolina's secondary good enough to make him pay for having weak arm strength and looking receivers down. Like, rarely seen Tom Brady do that. All that said, I was joking about Matt Rule and all them guys for Carolina. Tampa Bay should win this one, but if they don't,
it's gonna be tough times in Tampa if they
don't.
I mean, offense wasn't Carolina's problem. So that's the thing, is the offense wasn't their problem last week. It's their defense.
Yeah. New York Giants and Chicago. Kelsey, who wins that?
Chicago Giants. Ooh. Definitely.
Somebody got to win.
I know. One of those games you're like,
somebody got to win. I mean, maybe it'll tie. Maybe I'll put tie. That's what I'll do. Is a tie every year in the NFL? This will be the tie. Every year there's one. This is the one. I'll put this one.
I'm going to go with Chicago. And, I don't want to pick either team. I'm still mad that the Giants got some dude named Judge that didn't nobody know about as a head coach, and a whole bunch of brothers got overlooked. So I'm definitely not picking them. I'm going with the Bears. The Washington football team and Arizona, two teams that got wins that I don't think we thought they were going to get. Kelsey, I'll let you go first.
Have to go with Arizona. What they're doing, all the weapons they have, you cannot count them out. Washington, great game against the Eagles, but Arizona's a real deal.
I give Arizona. Yeah, Arizona's defense is better than Washington's defense too. So I think that they'll be able to get. If you put up 20 plus on the 49ers, even when they are injured, right? That means you're effective. Yeah. And I think it's got Murray's legs, that part, and having Hopkins be able to adjust with him. Hopkins is experienced enough to run with Kyler when he gets outside of the pocket and create those downfield throws. That's going to hurt Washington. I think there's going to be a couple of big throws downfield that change that game.
Let's be honest. Washington secondary is the question that we have. Now, they showed up in the second half against the Eagles, but also, again, Carson Wentz was not having the best day at all. So I think it's hard to pick them, but I do think Washington, though, again, you have to give them some credit on defense. But that secondary, and I said this on air last week, that's the problem with Washington right now. The defensive front is great, but that secondary, you have questions about. If you have good receivers going against them, I think they're going to win this battle.
But their defensive front is probably not better than San Francisco's with the Nick Bosa and that group. So even if they're good, they're still a cut below what the Cardinals have already seen in San Francisco.
Right. So
we're about to run out of time, so let's hit these real quick. KC and the Chargers.
Okay.
All right. New England and Seattle.
Ooh, I'm going Seattle. Yeah, I'm going Seattle.
I'm going to go Seattle as well, and then New Orleans and the Raiders.
New Orleans. Come on.
Kelsey, real quick, in less than a minute, tell everybody where they can find you and follow you, and when your next show is.
Sure. So you can go to my website, KelseyNicoleNelson.com. Follow me on social media, The Real K Nelson. Check out my show tomorrow at noon with Jason Terry, The Jet. And then on Saturday at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'll be welcoming RJ Hampton. It's on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Just search my name, Kelsey Nicole Nelson, and you guys can find it. And, of course, check out the podcast, Fox Sports Radio, iTunes, Google Play, and Spotify. Woo.
All right. I'll be sharing all of those. David Grubb, tell everybody where they can find you and follow you and when they can check out the next show.
At DM Grubb on Twitter, Instagram, and hitpwithdg.com for the website. Thursday, I'm on KLFAY in Lafayette at 8:32 in the morning, and every day, Monday through Friday, Hard to Paint on podcasts wherever you get your podcasts. And check out the store on Redbubble and on the website because there's new stuff up there. A lot of cool new things for people to check out. More women's wear than we had before. A lot of yoga pants, shorts.
I'm gonna make sure I send you a picture. I'm rocking my custom shirt this week.
Yeah, you rock all these jerseys and stuff, and I still ain't seen the shirt I bought you for your birthday.
I got you.
All right.
Listen, guys, we've got to go, but thank you as always, man. It is always a lot of fun to be able to hang out with my brother, my sister, and you guys do phenomenal work, man. I'm not just family. I'm a fan, and I mean that sincerely. So y'all keep doing what you're doing. Keep putting out good content. Keep bringing in great guests, and I'm praying for both of y'all's voices to get even bigger and louder and the platforms to get bigger and louder. So y'all keep doing what you're doing, and thank you. We'll talk to y'all again real soon. I'm
just trying to keep up with Visa over there. Because she's everywhere you want to be. I'm trying to keep up with Visa.
Exactly. All right, guys, I got to get ready to go. I'll talk to y'all both real soon, all right? Bye. They are hilarious, y'all. We got to go. David Grubb and Kelsey Nicole Nelson. Love when they join us on the lunch break. Donnie McClurkin up next with the Donnie McClurkin Show. He'll give you the best in gospel music, latest in the gospel music industry. Congratulations again to Ferdinand, our week 1 winner of the Lunch Break Weekly Keeping Up with the Joneses Challenge. Royal Locks and Crowns provided the $50 for the prize. We'll let you know who will win next. As always, let's not be divided. Let's be united. I love you. Nothing you can do about it.
The legendary 1140 AM KYOK Conroe and 92.3 FM K222CX Houston. Are you ready?
All right, man. I had fun. Those guys are the best. I love them for free. Y'all be sure and follow them as I get information about their shows. You know what I'm going to do. I'm going to share them, so be sure and follow them as you do. Again, congratulations to Ferdinand, and thank you for Cheryl Lowry, Royal Locks and Crowns, 8401 Westheimer, suite number 110 in Houston. Be sure to call them and tell them you heard about them on the Lunch Break, 832-803-5756. That's 832-803-5756. And I'll be calling out next week's sponsor of the $50 for the Lunch Break, Keeping Up with the Joneses Challenge. Y'all are phenomenal. I do. I love y'all for real, and there's nothing you can do about it. All right, I'll talk to y'all later.